The world of cinema is full of risks, and sometimes even the most highly anticipated films with enormous budgets can falter spectacularly at the box office. While blockbuster success stories often make headlines, there are just as many cautionary tales of movies that, despite their lavish production, star-studded casts, and massive marketing campaigns, failed to recoup their costs. These films serve as a reminder that even the biggest names in Hollywood can't always predict audience reception, and sometimes the results are disastrous. Here's a look at the 10 most expensive box office flops of all time. Movies that not only missed the mark creatively, but also left their studios grappling with staggering financial losses. So, the 10th most expensive box office flop of all time on our list is Cutthroat Island. Cutthroat Island was meant to revive interest in swashbuckling pirate adventures, but instead it became the film that made Hollywood steer clear of the genre for years. On paper, it seemed like a sure thing. Director Renny Harlin was known for his action-packed films, and stars Geena Davis and Matthew Modine brought recognizable names to the project. Yet the movie sank spectacularly at the box office, losing around $217 million. Intended as a lifeline for the struggling Carolco Pictures, it ended up being the final nail in the studio's coffin. Behind the scenes, the production was a mess, plagued by casting disputes, frequent crew changes, and constant delays. Despite all the turmoil, the film still manages to offer a decent amount of entertainment even today. And the 9th most expensive box office flop of all time is The 13th Warrior. No one stays on top forever, and The 13th Warrior is a prime example of that truth. Directed by John McTiernan, famed for action classics like Predator and Die Hard, and based on a novel by Michael Crichton, the creative force behind Jurassic Park, the film seemed like a sure hit. With a premise centered on a foreigner thrust into a mysterious and brutal world, it had all the makings of an epic. Heavily promoted ahead of its 1999 release, the movie came with a hefty budget estimated between $100 and $160 million. But despite all that, it only managed to earn $61.7 million at the box office. While The 13th Warrior has since gained cult status among fans, its initial reception marked a staggering financial disaster, losing somewhere between $130 million and $243 million. And the 8th most expensive box office flop of all time is Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. Sinbad the Sailor was once a reliable box office draw, especially during the 1950s through the 1970s with live-action adventures. But when DreamWorks tried to breathe new life into the legend with the animated Sinbad Legend of the Seven Seas, things went south fast. The film ended up losing the studio a staggering $214 million. While critics gave some praise to its animation and score, they were far less enthusiastic about the storytelling and character development. The financial failure was so severe that it nearly crippled DreamWorks, and to this day, Sinbad is remembered as one of the studio's most costly misfires. And on number 7, we have John Carter. Whether Edgar Rice Burroughs' John Carter of Mars had the potential to launch a successful film franchise is something we may never truly know. The original material remains rich with imagination, and over time, some viewers have come to appreciate John Carter more than they did upon its release. Still, the film's enormous budget, combined with extensive marketing, set the bar impossibly high for profitability. Disney reportedly needed the movie to earn over $600 million just to break even. That goal was never reached, and the film ended up saddling the studio with a loss estimated between $153 million and $274 million. Despite its visual ambition, John Carter became another cautionary tale of blockbuster overspending. And the 6th movie is The Lone Ranger. Some characters stand the test of time, while others fade into cinematic obscurity. And The Lone Ranger seems to fall into the latter category. The 2013 reboot echoed the failure of its notorious 1981 predecessor, ending in a major box office disaster. Reports at the time suggested that Disney would need to make around $650 million just to break even, factoring in the enormous production and marketing costs. Unfortunately, the film fell far short of that mark. Despite the studio's big push and star power behind the project, The Lone Ranger ultimately resulted in a staggering loss estimated between $216 million and $256 million. And the fifth most expensive box office flop of all time is Pan. Was 2015 really the right time for a Peter Pan prequel? Judging by the numbers, audiences didn't think so. Pan ended up losing Warner Brothers anywhere between $114 million and $199 million, despite boasting a star-studded cast that included Hugh Jackman, Rooney Mara, and Amanda Seyfried. While the film leaned heavily on CGI and visual spectacle, it failed to bring anything truly fresh to the Peter Pan mythos. The screenplay, once praised and featured on the Hollywood blacklist of promising unproduced scripts, didn't translate nearly as well on screen. Though a few critics spoke in its favour, the general reception was lukewarm, and that wasn't enough to save it at the box office. And the fourth most expensive box office flop of all time on our list is King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. By the time King Arthur Legend of the Sword was released in 2017, Guy Ritchie's name didn't carry the same weight it once did. Though he had made a splash with cult hits like Snatch in the late 90s, this big-budget reimagining of the Arthurian myth came with a staggering production cost, reportedly between $144 and $197 million. According to The Guardian, the script was a patchwork of various earlier Arthur-themed screenplays woven together in an attempt to kickstart a larger franchise. Plans were in place for sequels and a full-blown Arthurian cinematic universe. But lukewarm reviews and disappointing box office numbers quickly shut those ambitions down. As of now, the film has yet to recover its budget. And on number 3, we have Mortal Engines. Could steampunk make a successful leap to the big screen? Hollywood gave it a shot in 2018 with Mortal Engines, a visually ambitious film co-written and co-produced by Peter Jackson and based on the popular book series. However, the film failed to capture the same magic that made Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy a hit. Audiences didn't connect with Mortal Engines, and it ultimately became a massive financial flop, losing Universal and its partners, including Jackson's own Wingnut Films, around $219 million. Though the movie had its fans, critics often pointed to its lackluster world-building and derivative plot. Despite its visual flair, it simply didn't have the originality or depth needed to launch a lasting franchise. And on number 2, we have Strange World. Strange World marked a milestone for Walt Disney Animation as its first film to feature a LGBTQIA+ lead character, a move that some speculate may have impacted its box office performance. The film was pulled from release in certain international markets due to this representation, despite mostly positive critical reviews. Drawing inspiration from classic pulp adventure stories, the movie may not have connected with Disney's core family audience, limiting its appeal. Additionally, with the shift in viewing habits brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, many audiences had grown used to watching animated films at home, rather than in theaters. Ultimately, Strange World became one of the biggest box office flops of its year, with losses estimated between $193 million and $212 million. And the last most expensive box office flop of all time on our list is The Marvels. There was a time when it seemed impossible for Marvel to stumble at the box office, but by 2023, that streak had clearly ended. Superhero fatigue had started to set in, and The Marvels became a prime example of the franchise's waning appeal. Despite uniting Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel in a shared adventure, the film struggled to connect with audiences. Some pointed fingers at the backlash against its female-led cast and creative team, while others cited a weak script, uneven pacing, and lackluster CGI as the real culprits. Regardless of the reasons, The Marvels marked a turning point, highlighting a shift in audience enthusiasm and kicking off a string of underperforming Marvel releases that followed. Do you know any other expensive box office flops? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more videos like this.